Welcome. So today's topic is the middle seat. So as I get ready to go to my Camino de Santiago de Compostela, which is my walk and the way, I've told you about the pilgrimage that I'll be taking to Spain. I've had a really hard time with my transportation. I still have a bus ride that I have to schedule in from Pamplona to Jean-Pierre de Port, which is about an hour and 45 minutes. And just because I've had such a hard time with the other stuff, I haven't done that one. And so I think there's a lot of schedules, but you probably need to get this done today. So anyway, I've had such a hard time, booking it, and there's, other, like, I'm under American Airlines, and then American Airlines has British Airway, and so it's been a huge hassle in trying to book it. I usually do domestic flights, and so I'm really used to Southwest, which is really incredible, and then of course the domestic flights out of Spain have been impossible. I called one of the airlines that's there. I forget what it's called, Iberia or something, who knows. And so I called, Spain, and so they answer, and I start talking to them in Spanish because I'm fluent. And then the guy's like, you can't make a reservation because you're talking in Spanish, and this is only for like Americans, or you're calling from America. And it was just a hot mess. So then I called again. It's just been impossible to deal with. I have had to, call the international number. I call the international number. They tell me to go online. I go online. My credit card doesn't go through, although there's nothing wrong with my credit card. It's just, the programs that they have been a hot mess, at least on my end, and maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong, but I doubt it. So anyway, so I basically finally booked it under a third party, and that seemed to go much easier. I got my confirmation and all that. But in the process, I had already booked round trip from DFW to Madrid, and then from Madrid I'm going to take a domestic to Pamplona, and then from Santiago de Compostela I go back to Madrid, and then Madrid back to DFW, and then of course DFW over here. So very, very interesting. And so I booked my flight, right? And of course I'm ignorant, or who knows what, and so I thought they were going to assign seats. And so, I went, since I had such a hard time, I hadn't, gotten my seat, and I thought they were going to assign seats, and I thought that whatever. So I went back and forth, and then sometimes I would go and do the seats, and they charge you for everything, which is not a problem, but it was very interesting. And so I'm trying to book my seat. It wouldn't take, and it's just a hot mess. So then finally I get this email, right? Hey, why don't you pay for your seat and this and that or whatever. So I went in and was going to pay for it. Part of the problem also was that they didn't give you a map of how the seat arrangements were. So I didn't know if I was going to get, how big of an aircraft I had, if I was going to get the middle seat or what. It's such a long flight. I think it's like 8 hours or 9 hours. And so I really wanted to, be close to the window or the aisle, which I usually don't do the aisle, but I've been needing to go to the bathroom a lot. Women, tend to go to the bathroom a lot because they've had babies. And as I tell my children, they sort of like messed up my body, but that's okay. Right. And so, so I need to go to the restroom, and so I was thinking that I probably need to do an end aisle or whatever. So then I call, right, and of course, more, waiting time is more than usual, whatever, wait time is 30 minutes, and they have this amazing little program where you basically, put in your name and then they call you back. So anyway, so I did that because there was that a possibility. So I'm driving, right, because I work like crazy, so I was driving through the freeway, and sure enough, they call me. So I try to get an exit as fast as I can, and then I take the call. And so the lady's like, first of all, she couldn't find my reservation. So I freaked. She's like, you're going to Chicago, right? I'm like, no. And then she's like, oh my God, and I can't find you. And I was like, what? And then she tells me, is your name Patricia? And I'm like, no, my name's not Patricia. She's like, okay, I found you. And then she was going to send me somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me I don't have a reservations. I have everything set up. And interesting about all this, trip is that logistically it has been a challenge. It's been very, very, very difficult logistically, as I mentioned in my other, YouTube video. I have a good friend that gave me his cheat sheet, so I went off of that, but, and I haven't gone. So, it's hard when you do it the first time because you don't know a lot of stuff. So anyway, if it wasn't for my ex-husband, who is brilliant, and, he has, anyway, so he's super, he has he's super well educated and whatever. And so anyway, so he does a lot of spreadsheets and stuff like that. So he has helped me tremendously. I don't know where I would be without him, because he has just really helped me out with the spreadsheets, with the logistics of it, with figuring out, excuse me, that was rude, please forgive me, and for figuring out where I was going to stay and all that for 2 weeks at least. And then after the 2 weeks, have some flexibility in case I need to change anything, because I don't know how I'm going to do with the walking, or if I'm going to take longer in some days and longer not, or take a rest day or whatever. So I could only book two weeks. So it's a logistic nightmare, and a lot of the phones don't work. In Roncesvalles, I was trying to make reservations. There's only like 2 places you can stay in Roncesvalles, is my understanding. One of them is a convent. I kept on calling. They're like, no, it's siesta time, you have to call back later. And I'd call, and she's like, you have to do the online. I would go back to the online. I was booking online, then it wouldn't take it because the card wouldn't take it, and who knows what. And so it's just a hot mess. Of course, there's nothing wrong with my cards, and there's nothing wrong with anything. It's just a matter of the systems in the program. So it is impossible. There's another time that I called, and the gentleman answered. He's like, oh, I was just passing by, and I picked up the phone because it was ringing, but really, I cannot solve your problem. Why don't you call back in a couple of hours? It was like 3 o'clock in the morning for me, right? Because it's like a 9-hour difference or 8-hour difference. So anyway, so I finally, I'm off the road, right? Because I called American Airlines, and then they're calling me, and they cannot find my reservation. I am about to cry on the side of the road, because I was like, oh my God, if I have not made any reservations, this can be horrible. And in addition to that, I leave on Saturday, so that I have like 3 more days, and that's it. So what happens is that she finally finds me, right? And she's like, oh my God. And she's like, there's only 2 seats. And I was like, oh my God, don't tell me it's the middle seat. And she's like, it's the middle seat. I said, this is horrible. I've had such a hard time with you guys, and you guys, you have British Airways that's taking this flight, and that, you subleased or whatever to it. And I said, they have been horrible. It's just been really hard to try to book everything. She's like, I'm so sorry, but you know what? There's a seat on the window side on your way back. You want me to get that one? I said, please get that one. And then she said, but you'll get the first row, so you'll have a lot of room for your feetsies. And I was like, oh, I was on the verge of tears. So I was very grateful, that she did what she could. But in the end, I'm flying to Madrid. I don't know. I think it's 8 or 9 hours. I don't know, in the middle seat. So, I try to, as best as I can through life, try to see the positivenesses of it. So lots of stuff, because in the end, it's sort of my fault, right? Because I took so long. I thought they were going to assign seats. I was waiting. I couldn't get in. It was just a lot of challenges for all my reservations. But as I reflected, I always tell my students to embrace whatever situation that they're in, and that it's always, positive, and it's always, about attitude, and everything is an attitude. So I said, I'm gonna enjoy it. It's the middle seat. It seems like I won't have anybody in front of me, so I can go to the bathroom as many times as I want in the 8-hour flight. It is what it is. I guess I'm gonna buy one of those things that I can't really carry, so your little head doesn't go like all wobbly and stuff like that. Although in the end, I can't carry it because I'm gonna be, walking. So I guess I'll give it away when I get to Madrid, and then maybe on my way back I buy another one. So who knows? I'm just gonna try to adjust, because there's no way that my little head's gonna go and to the person in the side and then slobber all over him, right? Because I was asleep or snoring or whatever, because I snore at night. I tell my kids that it's because of my asthma, but they just laugh. But anyway, so we'll see, as I reflected again as well, because I really have been reflected over the middle seat, and I'm very much not liking it. I sort of finally came to terms with it, and I'm very spiritual, and and I sometimes am a seer, and or mostly always I'm a seer. But anyway, so I sort of said, well, maybe I'm there for a reason. There's this journey is about self, and this journey is about awakening, and this journey is about enlightenment, and it's about truly going to the core of who you are, your beliefs, what it is that you want. And I don't know what else is going to be out there, what else I'm gonna be as I walk, right? But this is part of maybe the humility that I need to, embrace and be able to adjust. Part of the way is that, Jesus is the way. And so the thing is that along your journey, which is your life path, as he mentions in one of the scriptures, or who knows, and I'm not too much into scriptures, but he tells, I don't know who, that not to worry, that the birds get fed every day, right? And so when I'm discouraged, or when I just don't think that, I worry, what's going to happen, I always sort of think about that. So this is the journey, and apparently this is part of it, and there's a reason I got the middle seat. So I will be very curious to see why I got the middle seat. Usually when those things happen, it's for a reason, and it's because you're sort of destined to maybe sit there for a specific reason, because maybe the people next to you are important for you to meet. And that's what I have found through the journey of my life. Sometimes, there's plans, or sometimes things happen, and in the end, it was because there was something that was destined or fated that needed to happen at that moment. So we'll see what being fated and what is being destined in terms of me sitting for 9 hours in the middle seat, or maybe it's just a lesson learned that I didn't get my act together, and that I should have pursued that and secured my secured a better seat afterwards. Or maybe it's about not needing any other seat except the middle seat, and being comfortable with whatever it is that I got, and being grateful that I do have a seat, and that's all that matters, because it is about the journey, and about not so much about the destination, and not so much about where I'm sitting while I take the journey and transport to where I'm going. This is part of the journey, so there's a reason that I have the middle seat. So I can't wait to see what it is, to see if it's just because I'm stupid and I didn't, hustle it enough, or if it will be life changing for me based on where I sit, which will be the middle seat. So many blessings to you, and we'll see how this journey is. I am getting a little nervous, and I have like a whole spectrum of emotions. I've been kind of sentimental. I don't know, I think it's because it's been a recap of my life. I am obviously in a transition of life, finishing up with my children, basically, and just going through a lot of transitions, and then definitely, this journey of mine, which I've been really thinking about for a long time. So, part of this journey is about, the journey, so we'll see. But I have been very overwhelmed with emotion. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I don't. It's just, I've been sort of a hot mess. But, and then of course, leaving for so long, and being alone for so long, which, apparently I need to do. But I will definitely keep blogging, and join me along in this amazing journey that I will be taking, and let's see what we see, and let's see what the middle seat is like. Many blessings to you all. Namaste. Ciao.